Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the loose cannon telesnap reconstruction for episode 1 of The Space Pirates. Now, I have read the Target novelization of The Space Pirates, which I really enjoyed. That was kind of one of the ones I wanted to get. I believe a Flyattractor sent me that. And the great thing is that having read the Target novelization, I know what happens, I know the story. And that does make it easier to follow along with the reconstruction. I've also watched the surviving episode 2 from the box set that Lance sent me, the Lost in Time box set. So I've seen the surviving episode 2. I know what the story is. I know what most of the principal characters look like. But I wanted to go ahead and watch the telesnap reconstructions. One, just to see how good it would be, because I know technically there aren't actual telesnaps of this. I really should just call it the reconstruction, because John Cura had either just passed away or was in really bad health and was about to pass away. He had stopped doing telesnaps around the mine robber, I believe. So we don't really have telesnaps for this. So I was curious to see how inventive Loose Cannon would get with their reconstruction. Because I had really enjoyed their reconstruction of Celestial Toymaker episodes 1, 2, and 3, which also didn't have a lot of existing telesnaps. So I wanted to kind of check it out. Plus, it's just a chance to check off one more story that I technically haven't actually officially seen. So I wanted to go ahead and knock that out, since there are only 10 Classic Who stories I haven't seen at this point. And Space Pirates is one of them. I've only read the novel. All of that being said, I actually found the reconstruction pretty good. It's pretty easy to follow. Probably a strong part of that is because I have read the novel. I know how events play out, so it's easy for me to follow along. Though, they do have a lot of captions on the reconstruction, text captions at the bottom, which tell you what's going on to kind of explain things so you're not confused. There is a good portion of that, a good amount of that to keep you in the loop. It does a really clever reuse of the existing footage from this episode, and possibly a little bit from episode 2 to tie it in where it needs to. Especially of the model work, the film elements that survive from part 1, seeing the ship docking with the station and moving. It's a good reuse of footage, since all of the stations are supposed to look alike anyway. And then the people floating outside planting the bombs, how they flip that, upside down and sideways, so they can kind of reuse those shots while still making them look different. It's really, really clever. And I don't know how they did the picture for Dravish, the kind of antagonist of the story, the main antagonist of the story, because I didn't think photographs of him existed, telesnaps of him existed. However, they recreated, they did a really good job for the different shots there. I like his armor he wears too, that little space armor he wears. Definitely not how I pictured it when I was reading the book, but that actually is pretty cool looking armor, especially for the period this story was made. It's interesting that the Doctor and Zoe and Jamie don't actually show up until about 15 minutes into the episode, so well over halfway into the episode before they even appear. To me, that's fine, though, because it's a 6-part story. It's got plenty of time to get them into the thick of things. And then having them not in the first 15 minutes gives us time to meet some of the guest characters on the bad side, some of the guest characters on the good side, and to kind of get us caught up in what's going on in this story. And it does a good job of that. I mean, meeting the guy who's the captain of the ship, and the guy who's pretty much the second in command, the younger guy who I'd swear also played the engineer in the Monster of Peladon. I like him. He's doing really good in this. I liked him in episode 2 as well, when I reviewed the surviving episode 2. So you get introduced to them. You get introduced to the lieutenant that's in charge of the base they leave on Alpha Relay 4. And then, of course, you meet basically the bad guy, Dravish, and then his kind of engineer, second-in-command type. And you don't really get fleshed out, but he has this very mercenary-for-hire vibe to him, who's also kind of a businessman type. So you get introduced to that, and you can kind of understand his motivations, and you can tell the engineer's the more hesitant one. We got to get out of here. No, we're going to stay and do the work. And you basically figure out what they're doing, planting bombs on the stations to break them into segments and steer them away with rockets. It's all explained very well in the dialogue. So by the time the Doctor shows up, we know what's going on, what the events and what the plot of the story, at least at this point, are. That's done really well. I like the fact they kept in that part where the people on the base are like, yeah, if anybody shows up here, they're in for a surprise. They'll probably get their nose shot off. And then it cuts to the TARDIS materializing. The book did that too, so I'm happy to see the episode does that. That's very Robert Holmes. Whoever shows up here, if anybody does, will regret it. Cue the TARDIS materializing. That did give me a chuckle. When I read it and when I watched it, it gave me a chuckle. I'm glad they left that in. And then the Doctor quickly figuring out that it's, you know, an unmanned beacon, or at least it's supposed to be an unmanned beacon. And I like how he picks up on all of that so quickly. That's very much the Doctor, this man who's seen so much, explored so much. It's edited really well together, sometimes with fast jumps, which are definitely not the norm for classic Doctor Who, but it works since it's just stills, basically. The recon works well. I actually really enjoyed it. Having knowledge of the story from the book probably helped, but I did enjoy the telesnap recon of part 1, and I probably will end up watching the other 4 parts as well. So the loose cannon telesnap of the Space Pirates, have you seen it? And what do you think of it? And the Target novel, have you read it? What do you think of it? Comment down below and let me know, because I'm always curious to hear what you guys think. Other things to do, don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There's a link to that down in the description below. My entry-level tier is only $2 a month if you would like to support me there. I want to give a shout-out to some of my top-tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. My P.O. box is down there if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review, Doctor Who related or otherwise. It is a sci-fi channel after all. And a link to my Amazon wish list is also there as well if you'd like to check that out. I update that regularly. Most importantly, thank you for watching.